Thank you. That's always a good reminder, that song, isn't it? Yeah. So, mental hygiene. I looked up the word hygiene. It means conditions or practices conducive to maintaining health and preventing disease, especially through cleanliness. Well, that made sense. I looked up personal hygiene and found that we should shower every day and shampoo once a week and wash our clothes after we wear them and brush our teeth twice a day. That may not be exactly right for you, but that's what it says. And then there's dental hygiene, which tells us we should brush after every meal and before bed. Now, how they ever mess first thing in the morning before you put anything in your mouth, I don't know.
That's a Canadian thing.
Is that a Canadian thing, is it? Okay. Okay. So, what if we go every morning, after every meal, and at bedtime? 5 times a day for our toothbrushing, right? Whenever I hear 5 times a day, I think of the Muslim practice of prayer 5 times a day. So before the sun comes up, shortly after noon, late in the afternoon, just after the sun goes down, and before going to bed. Muslims pray, turn inside to remember God. So I said 5 prayers a day, 5 toothbrushings a day. We could take advantage of that. We could use our daily toothbrushing as a time to remind us to stop for a bit and remember God, right? Good spiritual hygiene. So how about adopting a habit of good mental hygiene? Routine preventive maintenance for the mind. Now that we all have our cell phones in our pocket that we can set to give us a little chime or a ring, what if we set those cell phones for 5 times a day reminders? We go brush our teeth, and then we turn within to the Mecca within, and we remember who we are. What about that? And if we obeyed that little signature, even if we just, or that little signal, even if we just took 1 minute or even 30 seconds 5 times a day to stop, to excuse ourselves, to take a breath, and remember who we are. That would tend to keep us in a constant state of mindfulness, wouldn't it? That would be good mental hygiene. So I want to go back to the dental hygiene analogy because we're all familiar with that. And even though we may brush our teeth 5 times a day, once in a while we still get a raspberry seed in our tooth, right? And we need what? We need dental floss to get it out. What could we use to get a mental raspberry seed stuck out of our mind? Could be mental floss, or it could be a more specific form of prayer. So what if 5 times a day we take a brief pause, we turn towards Mecca within and remember who we are. And then when there's something particular that's bothering us, well, there's a mental raspberry seed, and there's a specific tool we can use for getting mental raspberry seeds out. Actually, there's a couple of tools. Now, the first one is simply denial. Simply saying to the raspberry seed, get out of here, I don't need you, you have no power over my life, be gone. But the thing is about a denial is that you always have to follow it up with an affirmation. So we never leave ourselves in the denial, right? So it's be gone, raspberry seed, I don't need you, my mind is perfectly clear and divinely guided. Just something to always take us back to the positive. So another possible tool is more specific, directed prayer, what we sometimes call affirmative prayer or spiritual mind treatment. That's your heavy-duty prayer. That's a little more definite than if we're simply praying without ceasing or just being mindful all the time, remembering God, living our lives in a more conscious state. This is for when you come to realize that there's a specific result that you want. Now, we seldom use this form of prayer when we're praying for others because there's really no way any of us can know the true soul needs of the other person. So it tends to be a more general prayer, is to know that in the midst of trouble, there is a solution. And in the midst of chaos, there's harmony. No matter what's going on, the truth of us is always that the divine is always present and available to us. And so when we're praying for someone else, we generally just know that and accept the highest and best outcome for them. But sometimes there's that deep inner urge for something specific. And this is when I turn to commanding prayer, placing our order, just like we do when we go to a restaurant, being specific about what we want, ordering it, and trusting that it will soon appear, right? Isn't that what you do when you go to a restaurant? This can also be called spiritual mind treatment, which has 5 steps. And I'd like to compare that to going out to dinner. So the first step is called recognition. When we go out to dinner, we find the building. We know where the restaurant is, what it looks like, the location, the atmosphere, the type and quality of the food, that there are chefs and there are waiters there. We identify with that. And that's where our opportunity is for us. There is a restaurant. That's the first step of spiritual mind treatment, is recognizing there is a power. I remember and acknowledge the godness, the divinity, the goodness, the infinite. There is. And to remind myself of the nature of that power. It's omnipotence, all-powerful, omniscience, all-knowingness, and omnipresent, the location, everywhere equally present. So that's the first step of the spiritual mind treatment, recognizing God is. Now, when I enter a restaurant, I know that I am now part of that scene, right? And I know that in that restaurant, I am going to get what I need and want, because that restaurant, by its very nature, is set up to empower me to tell it what to do. That's why the restaurant is there, to do my bidding, right? We're in the same place with the same intention to make everything necessary to produce my intention. Make me a quesadilla, right? So the second step of spiritual mind treatment is unification. I unify myself with the restaurant. Now I unify myself with the infinite power. To point out to myself that God is omnipresence, then God is right here in and through me, and I am within God, and God is operating as and through me. That God's word is law, and therefore when I speak my word in full consciousness of my divinity, my word is law. So that step in spiritual mind treatment is called unification. So there is a power, and I am unified with it. In the restaurant, I will advise the waiter what I would like and what I will have. And in fact, we use those very words, don't we? I'll have the chicken. I'll have a quesadilla, right? No jalapenos, just cheese, you know. We use the words with complete trust that that's what I'm going to get. And so that's the third step in spiritual mind treatment. It's called realization or acceptance. Place my order with complete trust that I will have that quesadilla. Now, I might do a denial, no jalapenos, just cheese. I speak my word, and that's where I heal my unbelief. You know, when I reaffirm my word, if I do the denial, no jalapeno, I do my reaffirmation. Just a plain quesadilla with cheese. So I already have all I need and know that what I require is already given when I place that order, right? I heal my unbelief. I tell myself my life is in perfect order and that my word is law. Now, sometimes at a restaurant, we might ask, what does the chef recommend? Instead of just placing our order. And the equivalent in spiritual mind treatment would be this or something better. And often when I'm doing that affirmative prayer, that prayer that's specifying what I want, I say that at the end. This or something better. Because here's the tricky part. I have a specific result in mind, but I need to balance that specific request with my knowledge that the infinite mind knows far more than my individualized mind is capable of being aware of. So I state what I desire, but rather than asking God, the divinity, to change things to my liking, I align my desires with God's perfection and know that when I do that, what I require shows up. And it might be better than what I had in mind. Ever had that experience? It's like, ooh, I didn't know it could get this good. And then the fourth step is I express gratitude, just like we do in the restaurant. Thank the server, the chef maybe, because gratitude is saying thank you. But I personally and again, this is just me personally, try to avoid saying thank you, because the word you, to me, always implies another person. And I even try to avoid language such as, I am grateful to Spirit, because to me that almost sounds like Spirit is something outside myself. So I always try to avoid language because something outside myself didn't do it for me. I directed Spirit to do what I want. I am redirecting what I want to be in alignment with what my Spirit already is. So usually, when it comes to gratitude, I just express gratitude for this tool, for this teaching, for my teachers over the years, and for knowing that my word is creative, and that I am empowered by this teaching. That's the thing in my whole life that I'm most grateful for. And then the fifth step is, I let it go. Release. Let go and let God. Just as when we placed our order with the waiter, and the waiter walks off to the kitchen, we let it go with complete trust that it's coming back, right? We let it go and let God. But that doesn't mean God is outside me. I let it go and let the God that is everywhere equally present, therefore here, within me. And I know that the universe is at work right here. Now, sometimes the universe, in responding to my request, might throw it back at me. Might say, well, go get a toothpick, you fool. You know, if I'm praying to get rid of that raspberry seed. But there's always a willing, when I turn it over, to be guided by somebody, guided how to do it myself, rather than just having it done for me. But I stop wasting my time fretting about it, right? Just do it. So that's the 5 steps of spiritual mind treatment. Recognition, there is a power that's greater than I am. Unification, I am one with that power. Realization or acceptance, specifying what I'm wishing to create. Gratitude and release. But back to the dental hygiene analogy. What's next on that list? Mouthwash? Strikes me as kind of funny that mouthwash is a good thing and brainwash is a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we should call it mind washing. Don't you think, though, that it would be good to wash away some of those? I have dirty little thoughts in my mind sometimes, don't you? I don't know about you, but that's the reason I come here, is for the mind washing. So what else can we transfer from dental hygiene to mental hygiene? Well, how about this cleaning and scaling stuff? Now, personally, I don't do that, because just there's seems to me to be something natural about scraping beneath my gums. I know there's scientific reason for it, and most people do it, and that's a good thing. It's a choice, it's a tool. I equate that to therapy, like for the mental hygiene. In therapy, we dig around a little bit for the dirty little thoughts and scrape them off. You might choose scaling and cleaning, maybe not. You might choose therapy, maybe not. It's like the question that keeps coming up for us in Unity is, do we need both denials and affirmations, or just affirmations? When we want to change something, do we necessarily have to deny something, or do we just affirm what we wish? I don't have the answer. It's both, I guess. But my thoughts about that is, because our belief creates our reality, which is pretty much our basic teaching, because our beliefs create our reality, then if we believe we need to do denials, if we believe we need to dig under our gums, if we believe we need psychotherapy, then we better do that. And if we believe we do better with brushing and flossing alone, or if we believe we do better with affirmations alone, or if we believe we can just get off it, then we do that. Once again, we are reminded the ball's in your court. The choices are yours. Unity is not here to tell you what to do. Unity is here to empower you, not to restrict you. So what about the fun part of dental care? extractions and root canals and caps. Those are a little extreme, aren't they? But you know, sometimes we need extreme mental procedures as well. Sometimes we need big wake-up calls. We need deep, deep teachings like 100% responsibility for our own experience of life. That's big. That's major. We need a deeper and higher understanding of the presence that we call God. And we need to avoid the new thought pitfall of feeling like failures if we experience illness, physical or mental, right? We have this beautiful teaching that it is possible to maintain perfectly our bodies, mentally and physically. In fact, we are designed to do that. But sometimes, for whatever reason, we are operating at a level of consciousness, not just our personal consciousness, but our group consciousness and our mass consciousness, that gives rise to illness and challenges and tragedies. We need to come to the drastic understanding of our ability to flip that with a change in belief and understanding. That's how powerful we are. We can flip our reality by changing our belief and understanding. So remember that at whatever level of consciousness we are operating and creating experiences for ourselves, at that same level we have also developed tools and techniques. Use them. Yes, we are capable of maintaining our bodies perfectly by ourselves. But if we need counseling or prescriptions or Reiki or self-hypnosis or marijuana, you choose. Whatever it is that you believe and that has been created in your life, in your experience, in great part by your belief and expectations. When those change, circumstances change too. Now, the final dental hygiene that some of us use is tooth whitening. Now, this does not make our teeth healthier, it makes them prettier. And of course, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? I don't know, are white teeth prettier to you? What's prettier to you? Butterflies and flowers? Or a fast car on an empty highway? What's more beautiful to you? So, you don't have to be beautiful. A lot of us don't want to be bothered with a lot of makeup and stuff anymore. That's not important to be pretty. But if you want to be pretty, that's okay too. It's totally up to you. So everything is your choice, always. So just as you can choose to pretty up your teeth, you can choose to pretty up your mentality, your consciousness. And you do that by thinking those thoughts that to you are beautiful, right? When I wrote the words root canal, I reminded of a phrase, I invented a new phrase called truth canal. Truth canal. And I thought of the analogy that our thoughts create channels in our minds. And the more we think a thought, the deeper the rut becomes, whether that's a happy thought or a sad one. So for our mental hygiene, let's create as many happy, positive, naive little Pollyanna phrases as we can think of. Singing, laughing, affirmations, pithy little sayings, whatever. Create as many ruts of those beautiful, happy thinkings as you can. So, dental hygiene may include, but is not limited to, regular brushing, regular flossing, use of mouthwash, regular checkups, cleaning, scaling, x-rays, fillings, extractions, caps, root canals, whitening, and paying a lot of money. And every day we look after the hygiene of our person and the hygiene of our teeth. But how often are we looking after the hygiene of our mind? Because our mind is that which gives rise to our person and our teeth, right? Our mind actually maintains our bodies and our teeth. Seems to me that this is the most important routine maintenance that there is. So how often do we do regular mental checkups? How much routine mental maintenance have we got scheduled? Have you got it scheduled? In your day timer, prayer time 5 times a day, meditation Tuesdays at 2, whatever it is. Schedule that and do routine preventative. Discussion groups, coming to service, journaling, reading, Schedule that stuff and make sure you get it done. So after I finished writing this talk, I thought I would Google, not AI, just Google, mental hygiene to see if I had missed anything. And I was actually surprised to find something because this whole time I thought I made up the phrase mental hygiene. But anyway, this is what I found. What is mental hygiene? Each person's answer will be unique, but there are some things necessary for every plan. All of us need daily attention to the basics: sleep, nutrition, and exercise. Well, to me, that sounds more like the personal hygiene, right? But anyway, it goes on. Most of us also need a measure of strong social support, as well as cultivation of purpose, perspective, and humor in one's life. And isn't that what this community is all about, right? Support, purpose, humor, and perspective. That's why we're here. So since I've just mentioned humor a couple of times, I remember that the good speaker's always supposed to tell a joke. So I went on Google and said, tell me a joke. And there were lots of them, most of them contrived and gross. But this one made me giggle. You know what my granddad said just before he kicked the bucket? What? I wonder how far I can kick this bucket. I kind of thought it was. Okay. It's a bit of a sleeper too, isn't it? The thing is, nobody can look after your mental hygiene but yourself. It's an inside job. We're happy to support each other, but it's up to you. And you do have that power within you. Namaste.